United Country Nelson Real Estate is your trusted place to go when looking to buy or sell. Licensed in 3 states, our team of experienced agents is ready to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Whether it's a home in town, wide open farmland, hunting and recreational property, or that perfect piece of land to call your own. With United Country Nelson Real Estate, you get the best of both worlds. Personal hometown service backed by nationwide exposure. Find us online at nelsonsoldit.com, and remember, no one knows the country like we do.
It's time to crush your fitness goals at The Body Shop. Open 24 hours a day, this is your place to push harder, run faster, and get stronger. Hit the indoor track, pump it up with free weights and weight machines, or torch calories on our treadmills and ellipticals. Whatever your workout, we've got the gear. You bring the drive. The Body Shop, Bethany's 24/7 fitness center. No excuses, just results. Start your fitness journey today for a better tomorrow.
All right, welcome to another one of our Sports Central interviews brought to you by Harrison County Community Hospital. Excited to be joined again by South Harrison Lady Bulldogs softball coach Aaron Fitzpatrick. And Coach, last we spoke, you're getting ready to head to Springfield for the state tournament, and you get down there, your first game in the semifinals versus Montgomery County. And boy, I was actually at the school that day in the gymnasium watching on the big screen, and a lot of excitement, everyone cheering you guys on in that semifinal game. And you guys jumped out from the very beginning. Maybe just talk about that game before we get to the state championship game.
Yeah, it was a really well played game by our girls. We had a game plan going in. Just try to be as patient as we could and try to be as disciplined as we could on the rise ball. Reese Hill, the pitcher from Montgomery County, we knew she had a really good rise ball that she had beat some really good teams with in the playoffs. So it was just like try to be patient on the rise ball, be disciplined in our at bats. I thought we could be aggressive on the bases. I thought we had just seen some stuff in our scouting reports and in our film sessions that we could probably take advantage of with our speed. And, over the course of the year, we hadn't had to play a lot of small ball with bunting and things like that. Not that we're not capable of it, because we are very capable of it, but we just hadn't had to go to that a lot through the season. And that was a game where I thought we could probably take advantage of some just playing small ball, playing some bunts, and we did a good job. Lexi started the game off with a infield bunt single, and we got some hits and got a lot of momentum. Scored 4 runs in the first inning, so it was an exciting way to start the game. Bailey hit I think it was a 2-run home run in the second. So it was just a really well played game by our girls, and they just did a great job executing the game plan and just knowing what we were trying to do throughout the game. And I thought they did a really good job getting off to a good start that day.
Well, and it becomes one of those two, and as we were watching it, when you get out to that big lead, end up winning 16-0. It gives you the opportunity when you're a coach and you get to that state championship level, you're able to get some players in that maybe right, they're not starters, but get them the opportunity to play on the big stage there in a state championship. And that probably had to feel good as a coach to get everyone out there on the field, especially those seniors that maybe aren't in the starting lineup on a regular basis, to have a chance to play there in the state championships.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was happy that we were able to get them in, and they come in and they played well. Keely Gilpatrick, Bradley Sherrill, Kayla Robinson, they come in and played well. Like Kayla had a couple plays on the infield that she made, couple tough plays, and she made them. Bradley Sherrill had a couple plays at third base. She got a lead runner at second base. She made another play. Keely Gilpatrick had a hit, an RBI, and it was good to get those players in. And I knew that they do well when they got in. It was exciting for them to be able to get in the state semifinal game, and they played well when they got in there. So that's really big when you can get the production with your starters, but then also get some production from your subs too. So that was exciting.
No, and so 16 runs, and sometimes as a coach, you're like, hey, maybe we could save a few of these, right? because everything kind of goes in cycles. But you make it to the state championship, which is a place South Harrison's been to the semifinal before, but get into that game on a Saturday is such a huge deal. And I know we weren't able to be there. My daughter and the South Harrison cheer team was in Columbia, But I was watching on my phone, and I had dads behind me. We were all watching the game as we were waiting for our daughters to cheer. It looked like a huge crowd for South Harrison that made the long trip to Springfield. And playing a Holden team, a really good team. They'd beat Mid Buchanan in really dramatic style the day before in the semifinals. And a matchup you'd had earlier in the year coming in, probably guessing it was going to be a tough game, obviously, in a state championship.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the crowd, before I get into the game. I want to thank South Harrison. We have the best fans and the best support. We had an awesome send off on Thursday, awesome pep rally. For them to make the trip to Springfield, and we had a lot of stuff going on with cheering, with football, and all that stuff. It was we have just the best support and the best fans. So it was awesome to see that many people. I don't know. We had one of the biggest crowds of the weekend. I think I watched a lot of games, and we had one of the biggest crowds. So that was awesome. But the matchup with Holden, we knew that it was going to be a tough game. We had played them earlier in the year. We knew that they had athletes all over the field. They're a really good team offensively. The first time we played them, we didn't face the pitcher that we faced in the state championship game. So we knew that it was going to be a tough matchup. We had kind of prepared some scouting stuff before. We watched film Friday night in the hotel after we knew we were going to play Holden. So we knew that it was going to be a tough game. We knew it was a game we were going to have to play well in. They're just a really good team who could put the ball in play throughout their lineup, and they got athletes all over their field on defense. So we knew that it was going to be a tough matchup going into it.
And so you end up it ends up 4-1. I mean, a close game, and it was one of those as we were watching, and I'm sure you guys you're getting down to the last couple of innings, and it's just like, okay, we just need a break because you guys have had so many games throughout. Especially, I go back to that Highland game, down to 2 outs, and all of a sudden someone gets a hit and things start going. And so I think as a fan watching it, and I'm sure most of the people watching in person or online, we're just like, hey, we know this is a team. As long as we still have 1 out left, there's a chance. And just being a 3-run game kind of took it all the way down to the end.
Yeah, it was a game where we had some things go against us. We made a couple kind of uncharacteristic errors, especially over the last couple of weeks because we've been really sure-handed for the most part defensively over the last couple of weeks. We just had a couple errors early and a couple things that went against us. A couple I thought calls that maybe went against us, or at least borderline calls that didn't go our way. But we had base runners in certain in positions throughout that game. And the way the game started, Lexi got a hit, Tania got a hit, Bailey knocks him in, so we had the base runners on to score runs. Sometimes you get a hit, and sometimes you don't get a hit in those situations. And it was just one of those days where we didn't get a hit in those situations. That's just softball. That's how it goes. But even as we got through to the end of that game, we were able to rally. Late. We had the bases loaded. I think it was in the 6th inning, or maybe it was the 5th inning. It was one of the late innings. We had the bases loaded, and credit to Holden, they made some plays, got a couple key strikeouts, and were able to get out of some jams. But our girls, even to the last out, we come back with 2 outs and we have Lexi up. And I'll tell this story about Lexi. And I called timeout. I called timeout with Lexi up, and I said to her, I even got myself emotional in that moment. I said, Lexi, I'd live or die with you, in this situation. And I meant that. It was no knock to any of our other players, but Lexi has come through in those situations throughout her career. 4 years, she's played in Final Fours, conference championships, district championships. She's played in every situation that you can imagine over the course of her career. And to have her up in that situation, I just had a feeling she was going to come through. And, she extended the game. She got a hit. And then Tania Dahl came up and hit a ball hard, just happened to be right out their third baseman for the final out. But our girls battle all the way to the end. I thought, with our experience coming back, Ambry hit a ball. I think it was the 6th inning, but it may have been the 5th inning. Hit a ball right in between the center and right fielder, and they collided out there. And it was going to be a tough play for either one of the girls to make, but they collided, and we got runners on. We had runners in scoring position. We had the bases loaded, and sometimes you get a hit in those situations, sometimes you don't. We just didn't that day. So, but we lost to a really quality Holden team, and anytime you can end your season in Springfield and in a state title game, I know it didn't go the way we wanted it to, but man, what a successful season for these girls. I was really happy for them and really proud of them.
Yeah, and it's one of those. I remember watching that again on my phone. Those girls collide, and it's like, okay, I think this feels like one of those South Harrison innings that there's the break we're looking. And you mentioned it, and watching up to the last out. there from Columbia on our phones. Man, Tania did. She smoked that ball, and you're like, okay, this is going to get through. Lexi's going to score. Tania with their speed will get to second. Now Holden tightens up. But it's the way it goes. I mean, when you get to the state championship, you're not playing a rummy, right? It's a good team, and sometimes the other team makes a play as well. And so great season. I mean, to end up second in state, there's always some disappointment, but you get a little time behind it, and you can look back and be like, hey, that was a great accomplishment as a team. And so maybe talk a little bit about this senior class who've now played their last game for South Harrison. You mentioned Lexi and a couple of the others, and just what they meant to this program and the success they had over their 4 years.
Yeah, when you look back over the last, you look back over the last 4 years, and we graduated a big class a couple years ago, and over the last few years, this has been probably the most successful run of South Harrison softball in the history of its program. No 2 trips to the Final Four, 3 district titles in a row, a couple conference championships, and those seniors were played big parts in it. And some of them may not have been huge playing parts, but we're pretty big in it. We try to tell them in our program, like, there is no such thing as a small part. Like, whether you're in the dugout, whether you're trying to pick pitches from the other team, whether you're trying to steal signs from the other team, or you're trying to just keep the momentum more of a favor in the dugout. Whether you're on the field or you're off the field, your part's huge. And those girls done a really good job buying into that. And they've been in some big softball. They've been a part of some couple historic runs, and really historic part of the program as far as the last 4 seasons. So we will miss them tremendously, but they have done a really good job. Continuing the legacy, building a legacy of, success. And, we love them. We love our time that we've had with them, and we'll miss them next year. They've been a really big part of it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things as a high school coach, right? Every 4 years, every year you're rotating girls out, and to have some kids that have played for 4 years and seen a lot of time out on the field, you really feel like, and I know from coaching kids, and I with your older daughter Harper and that group, coaching them through elementary and now into middle school basketball, they kind of feel like your kids in a little way, and just not just the time as a coach, but the connections you make personally. And so I was looking, you guys posted some all district stuff, and so in that senior group, Lexi Hunter, as well as Ella Calloway, both first team. Lexi at catcher, Ella infield playing third base, and then Kinley Burkhead second team for outfield. And then you've got some underclassmen. So we talk about the seniors leaving. Rory Fitzgerald, first team pitcher. Bailey Barnett, first team infield shortstop. Ambry Hunter, first team infield playing at first. And Tania Dahl, first team outfield playing out in right field as a freshman. And so obviously you think about the moments and the time you had with these seniors, but you guys still have a core of players that are coming back for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting part. Like, this was such big experience for our younger players. We obviously had, coming into this postseason, we had Lexi, Ambry, and Bailey, who had been through deep postseason runs. They had played in the Final Four 2 years ago when we got third. The experience of what it takes to get to Springfield is huge. Like, because I made a Facebook post about it. You just have to have some extra stuff to get there. You got to be really talented, but you got to have the ability to fight through adversity. You got to have the ability to play through hard things. You got to have some extra stuff to get there. And for our girls, the young players, to get that experience where it's like, hey, this is the postseason, like, because there's added pressure there. You got to be able to go perform whenever you know that you lose and you're done. So for those younger girls to get that experience to play on the biggest stage that our state has to offer, in a state title game, that was huge for them. I have big expectations for them going forward, just to get that experience and to play in those situations is really big. So I was really excited for our underclassmen, and they done a really good job. You mentioned Tania, and Tania had a hit, I think, she had a hit against Highland. She had a hit against Montgomery County. She had a hit in the state championship game. For our underclassmen like Tania and like Maddie Meadows and Bailey and Ambry and all those underclassmen to get to experience that is really big for the program going forward.
No, and that's one of those things. And I know I've talked to Coach Schoening in football. When you have that group of seniors, and this senior class has been on both the boys and girls side really deep and athletic, and so these younger kids not only can they play with them, but they can learn something, right? Tania, Maddie, those freshmen, Lily Wiley, some of those kids that are underclassmen can sit and watch, whether they are on the bench this year or they're out there playing with them, and just see how those kids lead and realize this is how it's done if we want to reach a big game like the state championship.
Yeah, for sure. And we have sessions in the library almost every day before practice, and we talk about a lot of things. And I show an old Adidas commercial, off of YouTube that I pulled, and it's with the New Zealand All Blacks. Anyway, it's a rugby team, and the commercial is it's captains of that team throughout the years, because they've been dominant for like 50, 60 years in rugby. And it's one captain taking off a jersey and another captain putting on the jersey, and the end says, when the legacy is more intimidating than the opposition, and that's what it is. It's like every year you want to build a legacy, and you want the younger kids to learn like what the expectation is, what the standard is. And if you want to achieve what those teams achieved, you got to do the work that those teams put in. So that's kind of as always the message. Like, if you want to do the things that other teams have done in this program, you got to be willing to put the work in, and you got to be willing to do the things that they do. So to watch them have the ability to watch the seniors, and even the players that we've had graduated, in the last few years, to watch them, how they work, how they go about their business, it just sets them up for success as they go forward.
No, and that's been the great thing to have seen those teams over the last number of years. You see those kids graduate, and some of them go on and maybe play in college, do different things, but just that legacy. And I think that's what it's about as a team, right? These seniors, they'll never play another high school softball game, but they left a legacy for the next group to step on and continue going up. And so, Coach, congratulations again on an amazing season, second in state. I know it wasn't the first place in the championship everyone was wanting, but still such a great season and accomplishments. And this won't be the end with you and I. It will be for softball. But you go directly into boys basketball, and so we'll continue these interviews once we get into those seasons. But we appreciate your time throughout the year, and again, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, CF. Man, it's been fun. It's been fun doing these interviews. I look forward to them with basketball. We started practice on Monday, so it's like get out of softball, get into basketball. I had a meeting in Columbia, an all-state meeting today, and I got back late. So shout out to Peyton and Luke for running my practice today and giving me a night off. My brain was kind of fried after the last couple of weeks. So yeah, we're excited to get into basketball. But man, thank you for all the coverage over the softball season. I know I had a lot of people, especially as we went through the postseason, who couldn't make the trips, but were extremely excited to be able to watch it on you guys doing it through Bulldog Sports TV, through Misha TV. And so thank you for the coverage, CF. I appreciate your time too, man, because I know that you spend a lot of time and you got a family, and I just want to thank you for doing that, because it's been big for us, and I've loved doing it. So thank you.
Well, thanks again. It's a labor of love. I enjoy athletics and sports, and all these kids. I've grown up. A lot of the senior girls. My daughter's a senior cheerleader, and so known these kids since elementary school. So it's been a pleasure doing it. So we appreciate it. Congratulations again, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, CF. We'll talk to you later.